What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Moving with Life. This is episode 115. Pretty cool. So today, kind of on the track of not figuring things out, but not even scratching my own itches isn't the right word. Yes, well, I'll just get into why or how I came up with today's episode. In talking about content building and developing this community aspect, developing this entity, because I would say thing, but I don't like using the word. I don't want to use the word thing right now, but developing this entity into existence. I was going through, so on Instagram, I'm gonna assume if you have an Instagram, you know about being able to like save posts and how the algorithm's changing. And frankly, I'm like, how do you know? Like, where's this word of mouth coming from, and where's the source? Because I've seen like different people from different like spectrums of industry, post like, oh, this is a new algorithm. This is what they're looking at. And they're probably right. Honestly, I'll probably be behind. Soon where it's like, oh, I guess if I would jump on that train, I would have been a part of it, but it's fine. Because either way, my focus is still like this podcast and the content and quality of this podcast, not so much like some of the exterior details, because really I'm trying to just push what I'm learning, and then while I'm doing that, it allows me to then start going on to maybe other books and other things. Once I get through, A, B, and C, then I go on to A, B, C, D, E, F. I start going down my line as far as the content. Anyway, so I was going through my saved Instagram posts, and I came upon this Jordan Peterson one, and I've talked about him. I think I've used his book a couple times, 12 Rules for Life. He actually has a new book coming out. Well, by the time you see this, it'll be Thursday. So Tuesday, March 2nd, he will have released his new book, 12 Rules, Beyond Life, 12 New Rules. Here, let me look it up. And so anyways, I was going through that post, and I was like, man, I wonder. This would be good to talk about. Except it was only like a 3-minute video, 3-ish minute video, and let me see. It's Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life, and it came out, like I said, March 2nd. By the time you see it, it'll be March 4th, which is Thursday. I'm probably going to go get it after I get done here. Then I'm going to go work out. Then I'll probably go pick it up after I get some groceries too. But anyways, I was watching it, and so the 12 rules of his original book, 12 Rules for Life, originally derived from his 42 rules. Like he had set 42 rules that, hey, if you follow these, even poorly, because that's part of the biggest thing that I've gotten from him is, he always encourages like writing and he has literally a self-authoring program, where you write your own little autobiography, and it could be as little or as big as you want. So you write your own autobiography, but the point is, and his point is like, even if you write it poorly, write it anyways, because then you start putting these things of your life, and you start dissecting. I actually started. I never finished it because I started it a while back. I've done his. There's another one. He has like it's like a questionnaire, and it tells you about like your consciousness, your like neuroticism, and several others. I have them written down. I'm not gonna look it up right now because I want to get into this because so I'm gonna go through the 42. I'm probably not gonna do all of them today because as I go through them, I will be dissecting my own mind to how I associate myself, how I've associated, or how I associate maybe something that I remember, like, oh yeah, I remember this rule. I actually remember hearing it, blah, blah. So So that's what it is. 42 rules. Like I said, I'm not planning on going through all of them today. I'm gonna go through as many as I can in my 30-minute allotment time, and then now a little bit less. But the point is, I'm gonna go through them as I feel fit, and then we'll make this progression as we make it through all the rules. So the first one is tell the truth, and for me, what that's turned into, or well, I guess what it's turned into, and over time, obviously, but even having the hard conversations, and it's still very hard because it's awkward. It's awkward when like, let's just say you have a employee or a coworker, and I'm trying to make this like metaphorical, but it is also from my experience, even recently, where they come from a different organization, coming into your organization, so they have a whole different mindset. But now that they're in a new organization, it's trying to help them develop how things are done here, at your organization. And we as human beings, we're habitual beings, so we struggle with change. And so that's kind of something that had happened. And it was like, and now for me, as far as saying, she's like, hey, we need to change this mindset, even if it's incrementally. And I didn't say this necessarily out loud, like in this particular way, but it is trying to get, hey, this is a new place. This isn't where you used to be. This is where you are now. And we do things differently than where you used to do things, even if it's like similar, it's still healthcare, but it's not the same place. Different people, literally different people, different way of thinking, different way of doing things. And so, but with that, it's also like learning about them, like genuinely, like, hey, where are you, like all the basics, where are you from, like what do you like, what is actually, what's your approach to like something like this, because this is how we do it here, but we can all, it's malleable, as far as certain things that we do. So tell the truth. It's definitely also one of those things like simple but not easy, because we can always say, oh yeah, tell the truth, it's part of being a good person, or tell the truth, like, don't be a liar, obviously. But still, when you, like I said, I think it's harder in the difficult situations, and also like the way our like points of view. Everybody has different points of view, so the way I see this light bulb is not the way you see this light bulb, and so there's a discrepancy in the truth, and so it's finding the truth that I guess it's the truth that we can agree on, but then like the fact that it's a light bulb, that's that'd be another metaphor that I could use. Number 2, do not do things that you hate. And that one, Jordan Peterson in the video, and I'll try to put this video attached with this episode, but as far as in the show notes. But do not do things that you hate. This one's a hard one too, because there's another video that I actually found, and it talks about like, and so it's someone interviewing him and talking with him and asking him, basically, for those that get stuck in a job or in a place in their life and they never get out, because they're too scared to take risks, and so that they're afraid, they're fearful of like what could be versus where they're at. And he says, well, yeah, you should be scared because it could be dangerous. It could, it's something new. It's something you are taking risk, but with that, you should do it anyways. And now I'm going to my piece. It's like, well, yeah, but that you should do it anyway. And that's where bringing up the past story from last episode where some of these Navy SEALs and soldiers and Marines, where they weren't necessarily fearless, but they faced the challenge and they went head on. Now, obviously, that's a different thing. But if you're in a place in your life where, man, I don't like what I'm doing, I don't, because I know one thing that comes over me is laziness. It's a lot easier to also stay in this thing or this place or this whatever, instead of applying yourself to submit the application, to fill out the application, to fill it out, to even look or even learn a new skill. And maybe you won't. Let's just make this a job thing. It's not. It's not always jobs things. Sometimes it's people that you're like, okay, this is over. Sometimes it's a job. Like, man, I'm tired of this job. I'm tired of working a 9 to 5. Maybe you can draw. Maybe you can take. Maybe you're good at photography. Maybe maybe you've always wanted to be a musician. That I did it for 6 years, and even then, up until the last year, when I started realizing, hey, it's me, it's not you. I had to make a change. But yeah. So number 2 is do not do things that you hate. And even then, dislike. Derek Sivers, he was on Tim Ferriss, and I want to re-listen to the episode. It's been a few years. Because I heard it when it first came out. I was still back home, so this was like 2016-ish or so. But for him, one of his things, at least then, one of his theories and like little mantras to live by was like, if it's not a hell yeah, then don't do it at all. And I've talked about it. When I've talked with Brian, we've talked about it. And I'm kind of getting back to that. It's like, if it's not a hell yeah, then don't do it. Just avoid that whole conflict, that whole thing, anyways. And it's hard because, like I said, sometimes you get comfortable. Sometimes maybe you don't mind the people, but sometimes it's the actual job. It's the actual work. It's just not work. It's just not doing it for you anymore. But yeah, don't do stuff that you hate, because we only have a certain amount of time, which is like that much. If you think about universal time, we only have like that much time, and even probably less than that. Number 3. Can't read. Act so you can tell the truth. So these first 3, tell the truth, don't do things that you hate, which is like you have to act out the truth. Number 3 is act out the truth. So because you're doing what's true to you, or you're being the person that you believe is to be right and just, we can say, and now that you're not doing things that you hate, and you're either following your passion, you found a job that you love, you have the right circle of people around you. Now as long as you're acting that out, then you're acting out the truth, which means you're telling the truth, and you're telling the truth to yourself, and then you're telling the truth out. Where I feel like I've always talked about, at least in the past few years, I've always talked about, you work inside and you work out, not outside in. And so when you're telling yourself the truth and you work your way out, and you have the right circle, and you have friends and family, you have the job that you. I mean, there's that saying, if you like your job, you won't work a day in your life, or something like that, along that phrase. And for me, I have to balance that, because if I don't treat it as work to some extent, then I won't get anything done. But yeah, so now you act out the truth, and because you're being truthful to yourself, that means you're being truthful to your friends and your family and your significant other. And then even saying it sounds just better. It sounds better than being in conflict all the time, or being in a job that you really don't like. And yeah, I think we can move on. Number 4, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. My favorite thing about this is investing, because I'm like head on, full in on investing at the moment, as much as possible, as quick as possible. But for me, what I mean by quick is that, putting, setting my expenses here on at home, setting my expenses so that I can put money quicker, put more money quicker, and build my wealth quicker, via investing for now. Because we see these Instagram celebrities, TikTok celebrities, and all, and it's funny because even their journeys, for the most part, and I'll have to argue more than 80%. We see them and they have million followers, 10 million followers, whatever. They've been working for forever. They just happen to fall into this social media access, instant access to more popularity. I won't say fame. Fame's the right word because there are, but a lot of them were already, because they're famous on TikTok. They're famous on whatever else other thing. That now they just have an Instagram, or they're famous on Instagram and now they have a TikTok. Either which way, YouTube, so on and so forth. And for at least, because I know I fall into this case. Like I'm not that person. And even now, like, yes, I'm on social media and I actually scroll a lot, but that's the difference, is scrolling versus making content versus producing more than you're consuming. And so that's what these people did. So they fell into that cool little transition of like, hey, social media is now a thing, and now they can use that to exploit and make money. And now there's the reverse of that, where some people are trying to exploit you, saying, oh, if you do this one, if you pay $29.99 for this subscription, I'll show you the 5 ways that you will absolutely be a millionaire, even though those 5 things are the stuff we've mentioned on here for free. Or other people on YouTube, people that I get it from on YouTube as well. I feel like that's one of those things, like, especially, with this instant gratification generation coming up, like they're used to having the internet forever and Wi-Fi just outright. And so because of that, because you can Google where, let's see, what's a good example? Because you can Google, hey, where is the Grand Canyon? It's in Arizona. But because you can Google it and look it up so fast, like, you can just go about, or there's some expectation of that from other things. And in fact, even saving money, even if you have, like, let's say, if you're saving money, even in like a CD, certificate of deposit or anything like that, it's very low percentage versus index funds and certain, and long-term stock investing. It's a long-term game. It's a long-term game that you then are able to enjoy. That delayed gratifications has bigger joys than instant gratification, and that's what social media and certain other things they give to us. Where am I at? For number 5, if you have to choose, be the one who does things instead of the one who is seen to do things. This goes into the social media thing, because you'll see these influencers and these people who have created these online classes and whatnot, and they're with their and if you're a materialistic person, cool. I good. I mean, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you see these people with, let's say, Lamborghinis and McLarens and Porsches and Porsches, and whatever cars, and they have a 100-foot 100-foot yacht, whatever, and then when you come to find out that sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they're leased so that they can show off on Instagram, and they're using their money to just show off out exterior, but yet, maybe they're not struggling to make money because they can obviously afford to lease. They can afford a lease. They can afford to rent out this thing, whatever, to push their brand. And there's so many different things. But that's what that reminded me of as far as number 5. It's like, whenever, I guess my approach is that if I'm meeting you for the first time, or if I get to know you over time, I'm not gonna say I'm necessarily the same person in that conversation that I am here. Because I'm always trying to learn and build on either what I know or what I think I know, and then find a variant, where it's like, oh, that I didn't think about that. It throws me for a loop, and then it makes me think, and it's like, okay, cool. That's how I saw that number 5. If you have to choose to be one who does things versus one who is seen to do things, it's like, be that first person. Just do it, whatever it is. Um, and or I mean, I guess so. Let's just say you hate affiliate marketing. It's a whole different thing. You can look it up. Affiliate marketing. I tried it once, and it just it's like, what the heck am I doing? It made no sense to me, so I had no reason to stay in the game. But you do it and you do it and you do it, and you have like this, smile on your face, and it's not even giving you like the return that you want. It's like, why and it goes back to even number two, do not do things you hate. It's like number two, number five, all these, and that's why there's 42 rules that they work in conjunction. But that's one thing that I thought of for number five. It's like when you're seen to do things versus actually doing things. Where you see Elon Musk is my favorite example currently, and I haven't even done any more listening, but he's been on Joe Rogan twice. I've listened to those. Those are probably the only main things that I have invested time in. But he has SpaceX, he has the Boring Company, he has Tesla, and he has all these things that are just. And now that I'm reading more financial news on a daily basis, Tesla's usually always a part of the conversation in some aspect or other, because with Tesla comes SpaceX and everything else. So Elon Musk is a great example. You have all Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, who's Bill Gates, Microsoft, Steve Jobs up until he passed away with Apple. It's like they do things, they did things, and that's why literally our world as we knew it has changed so crazily. Even the makers of GoPro, I forgot the guy's name. I've heard one podcast about him because I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because I use GoPro. So it's like, oh, that's freaking legit. It's cool. They're doing things and they're experimenting. That's why there's like what GoPro 10s now or GoPro 9s. It's like it's insane. Number 6, pay attention. Let me see. I'm trying to see. Okay, so number 6 and number 7 are gonna go together, and number 6 is pay attention. So put your phones down when you're having dinner. Put your phones down, because you're having dinner with your people, your person, whoever that is. It's. I don't mind being passive about, like, if we're in a sitting situation. If I don't know the person, then it's a lot different. But when you know, or when you're planning and you said, hey, we're going to dinner. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping. I haven't eaten anything. But when you're getting together, and I was guilty, then I did better. Then I feel like I'm guilty again, but I try to be more conscious about it. Because of even a short conversation, it can be pleasant, and maybe that's just a me thing. I can't speak for anybody else when it comes to like this stuff, but as far as the rule itself is pay attention. We can put our phones down a little bit longer. When we wake up, like last night, I actually messed up, which I had been doing pretty good, and then like, just because I got lost in the evening, with time, I got lost in the evening, so I was like, oh, I'm up. Like, for one, I was up way later than I had been, and I want to. I was on my phone way longer than I had been. Like, I had been doing really good about just like, hey, and my first hour of being awake, nothing, and then my last 30 minutes of before going to sleep, reading, writing, and then going to bed. And I had been doing pretty decent about that. And then I kind of slipped up and was like, okay, hey, get off that, get off that excuse of like, oh, it's okay, it's just one day. Like, hey, stop. And so I went to sleep, and then, here we are today. But yeah, so number 7 is assume that the person you are listening to might know something you need to know. And that goes, and, listen with intent, but listen genuinely too. Like, I've definitely seen there's a difference in some of the people I would consider in my circle. There's a difference between us and and others. And it's pretty cool because even with those others, they have their own circle that they listen to. So that's good. But every once in a while, I just catch like out. I haven't gone out to eat in so long. It's actually kind of crazy. If I think about it, I don't think about it much, obviously. But I do remember just in the past where I could be at a table with friends and or family, and looking across, and let's say there's 5 people at another table and 3 of them on their phones, or their parents are on their phones and their kids are kind of just there, or the kids and the kids are on the tablets and the parents are on the phones. It's like, oh man, like that delusion, that consumption of just constant dopamine hits, whatever that tells into. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that, and sometimes that's good to see it, because I know it helps me want to put down my phone. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm good. Let's talk. What's going on? What do you know? And that's one thing I definitely developed from these, because one of these is in the book, but I remember hearing about it. It's like, hey, what do you know that I don't know? And one of the best things that I get, to be frank, is like world news. I know some world news, but as far as national news, I'm not really into national and local news. I'm more into like world news, and then finance. It's been my thing lately. But it's like, yeah, but when again, going back to having a conversation and paying attention and assuming that you know something that I need to know, it's like, hey, what do you know? Because you probably and sometimes it's my assumption, and sometimes I'm wrong. It doesn't matter though, but it creates a conversation, and then we learn about something, or like, oh, I didn't know about that. Let me look it up, or can you send me the link to that so I can read it too, or so I can read it later. There's different avenues to go through with that, but that's a big one, is pay attention. And then number 7 is assume that the person that you're listening to, because you're listening with intent, you're paying attention because you actually want to listen to, because they might have something that you don't know yet. So number 8. So this one, I guess I can say I'm still working on, just because I'm just at a part of my life where I am still traveling, even though I'm not a musician. I'm working, and I'm trying to build this podcast as well. And I don't like, and I've said this before, I don't like saying it like this, but it just is what it is for now. But number 8 is, but I don't want to skip any, even as we go through, even if I don't have a story, if I feel like I don't relate to them yet, I'm going to go through all of them. So number 8 is plan and work diligently to maintain the romance in your relationships. Now I guess I can speak from a third person point of view, watching other couples and other people, get to know each other, or know each other, and, get to a certain part of their life where it's like, oh, maybe there's a little hiccup, maybe there's not, maybe everything's going well. So many variations, right? But that's number 8. Plan and work diligently to maintain the romance in your relationships. It's important. That's all I got to say about that. This would be the last one that we do for today. Number 9. Be careful who you share good news with. And man, I should have stopped with number 8. So number 9, be careful with who you share good news with. This reminded me of a Brene Brown conversation I had, and Brian was on the episode because we were talking about the 6 things. I think it was 6 things that I don't have that journal with me that I have that notes written down. But the 6 things a good friend doesn't do, something along those lines, and I'll try to find that if I can remember. But a good friend won't try to outdo your news. So if you have hey man, I got promoted. Oh yeah, I got promoted. I got promoted the other day, or something to that extent, or and I've actually been doing it, and I don't do it intently, but it's like, man, like for me, and it's even then, it's always whenever I'm talking with, let's say Brian, or or my cousins or whoever, it's always gone back to like, oh, we're going through the same thing in life, and here's here's why I'm empathetic with you. I'm not trying to one up you. It's like, oh, we're going through the same things. And it's like, oh, and that's what it does for me. So, but still, be careful who you tell good news to, because it's like, if they're trying to one up you every single time, or one down, even and one down you too, it's like, oh no, my case is way worse. I lost five customers in the sale, and whatever, there's that example too. So yeah, and it's hard because, but I think maybe it's hard in the beginning, but then as you go through and you start seeing who's going to be in your circle, and there's a 5 chimps theory that I don't think I mentioned last episode, but I'll mention it probably throughout again. It's going to come up the way some of these other things come up. Because it's the same thing as, tell me who your 5 friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Because that goes back to just biological like theories and stuff, where the 5 people you hang around with the most are the 5 people that you're going to be most influenced by. And they're going to have, whoever those top 5 people are, if that's your circle, that's who you are. That's likely who you are as well. Yeah. So I got to stop there because we're at the time limit. And then we will continue this next time. So number 9, be careful who you share good news with. I'm not gonna say choose your friends wisely, but we have to. And but the only way to go through it is with time. Time's gonna give you that that knowledge that you need to make a decision for your future. So take care of yourself mentally and physically. Take care of others. Take care of your teams. If you're the leader, if you're the manager, lead from the front. Lead by example. That goes into the be the one who does things instead of the one who is seen doing things. Yeah, and we'll see you all very, very soon. I think I covered all my bases. If you want to support the podcast, links in the show notes. Working on getting that net gator situated, but there's a couple hoodies, there's at least one shirt, a couple hoodies, there's some stickers, and we'll go from there. Yeah, so we'll see you very, very soon.